An old woman who doesn't even do household chores. My eldest son and his wife carelessly said things they shouldn't have. They will regret this. Fine, I'm moving out. The next day my daughter-in-law called, but I ignored it. It's too late now. My name is Carol. I lost my husband when I was 45 and started working at a medical clinic as an office worker. It's a job with no room for mistakes because it involves protecting patients' lives, just like nurses and pharmacists. I worked hard to raise my son John. He graduated high school, got a job at a big company, and met the love of his life there. I was excited to meet her because my son said she's very cute, but she wasn't what I imagined. She may be pretty, but she's flashy with blonde hair and has a rough attitude. Her name is Joyce, she's 27, and she often cusses out my son. She bragged about being a former gang member and talked about her wild past, like throwing hooligans into the river. I told my son I was against their marriage, but he was totally smitten and insisted, "If I can't marry her, I'll never get married." My son and Joyce got married without a wedding, just registering their marriage and living together. Looking back, this might have been the start of our problems. After getting married, my son quit his job and said he was going to open a shop. I was shocked and went to his house because it wasn't something to discuss over the phone. "What do you mean, open a shop?" I asked. "I'm just fed up with the rigid corporate structure," he said. "Did something unpleasant happen?" "I had a bit of an argument with a female employee." "You weren't fired for sexual harassment, were you?" I asked. "Do I look like Daniel Bryan?" he joked. My son always makes jokes, even at 37, and doesn't know when to stop. "What kind of shop do you plan to open?" I asked. "A cafe that serves delicious coffee," he said. "There was a song about that, but maybe it was about tea. Do you have savings? You'll need about $300,000 to open a shop, right?" $300,000. He looked shocked. I got worried. Opening the shop, the plan would fail quickly. Does my son understand how hard it is to run a restaurant? "Why don't you try working in a cafe first?" I suggested. "Joyce is excited about opening the shop. How about becoming a hired manager?" "A hired manager doesn't have much freedom." "Of course I'm going to be the owner and master. With my ideas and intellect, running a cafe is easy. They called me Einstein back in high school, you know. Your classmates were full of liars. Now I look like Lauren Alexis to you?" I said. "I didn't say that." We couldn't even have a proper conversation. "Do you have any savings?" I asked. "I don't, so I'll probably go into debt first." He wasn't even thinking carefully, just holding onto burning ropes. "What's the theme for your store?" I'd asked. "What do you mean?" He hadn't thought of anything. I got more worried. "Who's your target? What kind of customers do you want to attract?" "Young and cute female customers," he said. "We're having a serious conversation here." I was getting angry. "I could post only beautiful women allowed outside the shop. Do you have a unique selling point, something no other shop has?" I asked. "Of course I do. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call it my trump card." "Can you tell me what it is?" I asked. "Joyce will be the waitress. Once that happens, we'll have a long line of male customers." If I had to choose a cafe, I'd pick one with a cute waitress, especially since cafes are usually visible from the outside. If they see Joyce's lovely figure, we're sure to attract a crowd. This was hopeless. I couldn't take him seriously. As I was about to leave, my son stopped me. "There's something I want to discuss." "What is it?" I asked. "I want us to live together. With Joyce helping with the shop, we can all live under the same roof. I want you to take care of the house chores. Cooking, cleaning, laundry. There's a lot, right?" "Let Joyce do that," I said. "I'm a full-time employee," my son replied. "I work full-time even at your age. The director said I could work until I'm around 65. Being at the same workplace for a long time builds trust. You should have kept your job instead of losing your temper." My son was silent for a few seconds, then replied with a troubled expression. I just made a small mistake, but my stupid boss started yelling. You made a mistake at work? I asked. Not at work, but I asked a slightly plump female employee from another department if she was pregnant, and she glared at me. Turned out she wasn't. You're kidding. If you ask a woman who's not pregnant how many weeks she's been pregnant, it's like telling her she's fat. You idiot, it's not something to laugh about. More than her, the boss was angry and criticized me as if I was not a human being, so I retaliated and told him I'd quit. What does he think a job is to quit so easily? So why jump to opening a cafe without looking for another job? Writing another resume is a hassle. If you're going to open a shop, you'll have to write documents that are more tedious than a resume. Then my son waved his index finger from side to side, saying no, 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 with a condescending attitude. I resisted the urge to slap him in the face. Writing a resume for a job you don't like and writing documents to realize your dream is completely different, he said. You're kidding me, I said. I'm being for real. There's no point in getting heated with someone who's not even serious about their own store. If having your own store is your dream, then I won't hold you back, but I'm not doing any of your house chores. Come on, I need your help. You can take care of household chores even while running a store, can't you? Actually, I made a promise with Joyce. Convincing Joyce was tough. She didn't easily say yes. I told her that I'm happy just living with her and I don't need anything else, even said she doesn't have to do any household chores. I was speechless at his audacity, but couldn't let it slide. So why should I be the one to do the household chores? Actually, it's not just household chores. I'd like you to help with preparing the shop too. It's not as much as running a pub, but the prep work seems hard, doesn't it? If you're including me as a staff member, then I'll have a say in things. I'd rather you not, he said. I think I need to crush my son's naivety before we open the shop. Otherwise, it will be a disaster. With that in mind, I asked a basic question. Do you have the stamina to keep running the shop? I'm confident in my stamina, my son replied. I stretch and lift weights every day without fail. I'm not talking about physical stamina, I said. I'm talking about the financial foundation to pay employee salaries and cover expenses, even if we have no customers and run at a loss. To be honest, I don't have confidence in those aspects, he admitted with a smile. Seeing him say that, all I could do was sigh. Sighing lets happiness escape, he quipped. You're the one making me sigh, I retorted. Me? Why? Oh, shut up, I said, clearly upset. There are still a lot of things that need to be discussed. I rambled on quickly. If we're serving light meals besides coffee, we need more ingredients, equipment, suppliers, interior signage, and maybe staff. The menu can't be a poorly handwritten one. The location is very important. Did you check if there are any similar coffee shops nearby? You'll need to use social media and flyers, devise a PR strategy, and show a detailed plan. Otherwise, nobody will lend you the startup capital. As I was talking, Joyce, who had been silent all this time, interjected, Hey, why do you get to decide? For a moment, I didn't know who she was talking to. Did she mean me? John's the one opening the shop, right? Running a restaurant is tough. Shut up, old hag, she snapped. I couldn't believe my ears, but my son stepped in with a forced smile. Easy now, don't get upset, Mama. Let's continue this conversation tomorrow. I thought I heard old hag. But I must have misheard. Maybe my hearing is getting worse. I have a medical office job with a monthly income of $3,800 and I get bonuses. I've saved a lot of money over the years by not splurging. I wouldn't mind supporting my son a little if he's serious about working hard. Indeed, having your own shop is a dream and must be rewarding. I started living with my eldest son and his wife on the condition that I would be involved in the shop's management. I didn't live for 65 years for nothing. I used my connections to get a referral to a trustworthy tax accountant and convinced my complaining son and his wife to take the accountant's advice. Thanks to that, we were able to borrow $90,000 for startup capital. We managed to start the cafe, but it isn't always busy. One night, Joyce came out of the bathroom, walked to the kitchen in just a bath towel, and opened the refrigerator. I was stunned and couldn't say anything, but I couldn't stay silent. Joyce, if you were living alone with my son, I'd understand, but since I'm also living here, that attire is not acceptable. It's because you're here that I'm wrapped in a towel. If you weren't here, I'd be stark naked. I was literally frozen with my mouth open. Can you stop nitpicking? I told myself to calm down. One morning my daughter-in-law came to the kitchen yawning in her pajamas and began to eat the breakfast I had prepared without saying a word. The cafe opens at 7:30 a.m. for breakfast, but it was already 8 o'clock. Joyce, you don't seem to be at the cafe lately, John said. I don't need to go. Some ugly customer tried to exchange numbers with me. I got pissed and refused. He started saying, "What's with that attitude? I'm a customer here." So I told him, "You're a million years and 5 days too early to flirt with me with that face." I gave my smug daughter-in-law a stern look. Our customers are important. The cafe can't run without them. We don't need customers like that. I splashed water in his face and told him never to come back. You're lying, I started, but my daughter-in-law cut me off. If it were the old me, I wouldn't have hesitated to pour hot coffee over his head. He should be thankful it was only water. This can't go unspoken. I'm your mother-in-law. Joyce, you need to find a job, even part-time, and help with the household expenses. Is that an order? She glared at me with terrifying eyes. Does she think she can intimidate me? I mustn't back down. Joyce, if you don't want to work, at least do the housework. Shut up, old woman. Nothing pisses me off more than being ordered around. Who do you think you're talking to? Who the hell do you think I am? I refuse to be lectured by some old woman like you. My fear and anger crossed and I was trembling. You're not thinking of slapping me, are you? If you do, I'll punch you in the face. This is it. I'd have to tell my son about this. When the cafe closed, I said, "There's something important I need to talk about." "If it's a lecture, I don't want to hear it," he replied. I told my son in detail about Joyce's abusive language, but he said something unbelievable. "You nagged Joyce again, didn't you?" "What do you mean, nagged?" "I'll tell you something since you don't seem to realize it. You're always negative." Ignoring his wife's behavior, my son had the nerve to tell me off. "When you keep correcting others, they will distance themselves from you, even if you are right." I'm the one in the wrong. I asked, shocked. Even if you think someone is saying something strange, affirm them first. If a person feels affirmed, they will be more likely to listen to what you have to say. That's how you connect with others, Mom. My son is completely on his wife's side. Feeling defeated, I left the cafe. The number of customers has dropped significantly. A rumor probably spread about Joyce's behavior towards a customer. Asked my son, who was idly standing at the corner, "John, do you check the passbook?" "I don't check it that much," he replied. "You should occasionally update the passbook and keep track of the balance," I said. "We're still fine, right?" It seems he doesn't know that I've been contributing a small amount every month because he doesn't often look at his passbook. I don't particularly want gratitude or thanks, but he's just never aware of his financial status. This is not good. You can't get by with rough estimates and expectations. Life always finds a way, he said. There's no way it will. Absolutely no way. I replied. Why the immediate denial? Let's talk about something fun. It's said that good fortune comes to those who laugh often. Look, I'm an optimist. I can't bear it and let it all out. What you have isn't optimism but mere wishful thinking. Optimism is thinking positively even when faced with adversities, viewing even the negatives in a positive light. It's the ability to turn tragedies into great outcomes with a fighting spirit. You can't be an optimist without these traits. Wishful thinking and true optimism are totally different. Despite my earnest words, my son began slapping the counter. Tap out like when a high kick puts someone down, you mount on top of them and throw punches at their face. Enough. This is about your store, I said, seriously worried. Shut up. If you can only say depressing things, then get lost. I couldn't believe my ears. I can't stand to watch my son change, poisoned by that woman. I hate to say it. Then don't say it, my son interrupted. Joyce doesn't help with the shop, doesn't do housework, and verbally abuses me. Is this okay? When I talk to her about it, it causes tension, so you, as her husband, have to say something. Oh, Joyce. What? I turned around in surprise and my son burst out laughing. Got you. You really fell for it. Is this how he ridicules his parents? I've made up my mind. I won't interfere with his shop anymore, and I won't do any housework. Even if the room is messy and I want to clean up, I'll resist and do nothing. In the morning, my daughter-in-law, in her pajamas, asked, "What about breakfast? Why don't you make it? I have to go to work." "See you," I replied, ignoring her and leaving the house. I finished dinner at a family restaurant near the clinic and got home around 10:00 p.m. My furious daughter-in-law confronted me. "What time do you think it is now? You didn't make dinner. Are you trying to starve me to death? If you're hungry, you should make dinner yourself. You're not a child," I said. "Are you picking a fight with me?" she snapped. As I ignored her and headed to my room, she grabbed my arm. "Wait. If you resort to violence, I'll call the police immediately." Perhaps intimidated by my resolute attitude, she let go of my hand. "By the way, you haven't done the cleaning or the laundry. That's why, Joyce, you should do it. If you don't do the housework, there's no point in you being here." "Are you serious? I think I'm a considerable help. What about you? You don't do housework. Don't help with the shop, just complain to others. What good are you doing? Badmouth me any more, and I'll hit you. Getting injured would hinder my own work," I said as I took refuge in my room. I could hear yelling from the bedroom. Even though I knew it wasn't right, I ended up listening. "Because you spoil her, that old woman gets out of line. Every time she sees someone, she starts complaining. Do something. If you can't say anything to your parents, I'll leave." "Stop. That would be a problem. If you leave, I'll lose my reason to live. If you really think that, then do something." "I got it, I'll do something. So don't say scary things like leaving. It's pitiful. Did I raise him wrong? I guess I inadvertently spoiled him because we were a single-parent household." I wanted to cry. My son said he had something important to discuss, so I went to the shop after it closed. Joyce was there too, looking at me with a mocking expression. "What's the important matter? Do you plan to not do chores anymore at all?" my son asked. "I've been telling you that you should do your own housework," I said. "Shut up, I told you not to order me around. If you're not going to do housework, then get out." Joyce spat out harshly and gestured to my son. When he hesitated, she whispered something. But I could hear her. "If you don't say that, we're getting a divorce." "The woman who doesn't do any housework should get out," my son repeated. They would surely regret making me genuinely angry. "Just to confirm, John, are you really okay with me leaving?" Get out, just get out already," he shouted. "Then I'm leaving immediately. Just one thing." "What more can you possibly want?" John asked. "I'm cutting ties with you as your parent. From now on, we're strangers, so don't rely on me." "That's what I was about to tell you, idiot," Joyce snapped. "You just keep quiet. I'm talking to my son." When I shouted, Joyce grabbed my arm. My son hurriedly stepped in between us. "Hey, let's stop the violence. Let go of her." "Shut up. We're not wrestling. This is a serious matter. Did you forget that I warned you I'd call the police if you touched me?" Joyce withdrew her hands but glared at me. I moved out immediately. There was a good apartment near the clinic, so it would be easier to commute and I wouldn't have to see Joyce's face. The next day my daughter-in-law called, but I ignored it. Despite the persistent calls, I never answered. I used to transfer $6,000 to my son's account every month, but I stopped after moving out. I can't imagine their business will thrive with such careless management, and now they've lost my support. Their savings will eventually run out. Without the burden of unreasonable support, I'm living a relaxed and peaceful life. A year has passed since then. I got another call from my daughter-in-law, so I answered. "Hello. Is this Mom? I'm glad you finally answered," she said in a subdued voice. But I wasn't naive enough to be fooled by this. "It's been a while. What is it?" I asked. "The shop is in serious trouble. It might close down." "Close down? Did a meteorite strike it or something?" I replied. There was a few seconds of silence before she continued. "Please help us. We have no customers, and if the shop closes, we won't be able to repay our debts. Some intimidating men are threatening us, offering me a job that works late at night. Please help us, Mom." "I don't have a daughter," I said coldly. "I apologize for everything that happened. I'm sorry, please forgive me." "I won't forgive you." "What should I do for you to forgive me?" "I'll never forgive you. You've done too much, and it's too late." "You're not nice, Mom. You were giving us $6,000 every month to help us. Why didn't you tell us about that?" "Joyce, you might fool some men with that sweet voice, but not me. I'm busy, so I'm ending this call." "Wait, please. Goodbye." Even after hanging up, they called several times, but I ignored them. Realizing too late, after they've tasted hell, is pointless. 5 days later, when I was about to go home after work, my son and his ex-wife were in the clinic's parking lot. They knelt down in apology, but I just walked past them. "Wait, please, Mom. We really need your help. You're the only one we can rely on," my son pleaded. Like I said, I have no daughter and no son. "Mom, families help each other in times of trouble, don't they?" he continued. "Who are you saying that to?" I replied. "We've reflected on our actions. Please forgive us." I brushed off his ex-wife, who was deeply bowing her head. Even a monkey can reflect on their actions. A monkey? Wait, Joyce, are you calling us monkeys? They argued among themselves, but I turned my back and walked away. I could hear Carol shouting and my sons crying behind me. "It's all your damn fault." When I looked back, Carol was attacking my son, but it was none of my business. I heard through the grapevine that their shop went bankrupt. His wife left divorce papers and ran away, and my son fled in the night. It's sad to see such a tragic end. There are many people in the world who try their hardest but still can't make it. I want to support and help those people unconditionally, but I have no intention of helping someone who not only doesn't try, but also makes a fool of others. Now I can focus on my work. Being a medical clerk is rewarding. No one comes to the hospital because they want to, so I want to treat patients with cheerfulness and kindness to give them hope and energy, even if it's just a little.